It's your boy, the Ultimate Rage, coming back with yet another live here in the No Cap Zone, where we have a strict dress code. Now get the fuck off with that capping ass bullshit. The only kind of camp that's allowed around these parts is your thinking cap. Otherwise, get the fuck out of my face. Straight like that. Get your stupid ass the fuck out of my goddamn face. Because around these parts, the only thing I care about, the only thing we care about are the facts, the truth, the data, the information, the statistics, the evidence, things that can actually be demonstrated in real life, like in real time, like while we're alive and sound and sane and of sound mind, because otherwise I don't know what the fuck these loonies out here are talking about. And to be frank with you, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. That's why we gotta talk about it starting right now. Whoever came on, what's up? Thank you for coming through. What's good? Say what's up. Don't just sit there and watch me. Say, hey, what's going on, bro? Love what you're doing. What's cracking? What's up? Anywho, so as I talk about every day, I like to talk about humanity's purpose by making it a specific topic of the day. In other words, trying to figure out, hey, people, what the fuck are we doing? What the hell are we doing? What are our goals? What are our aims in the grand scheme of things? What are we hoping to accomplish at the end of time? By the end of the universe or the multiverse or whatever the fuck, what do we hope to accomplish by the end of it all? This is especially important because so many people love to pretend like they care about finding purpose, like they care about understanding and getting deep, and they're so spiritual and they love all of this sci-fi fantasy fucking bullshit, but they don't seem to really care about whether or not what they believe is actually true. This is why, as I always state, I am an anti-theist. I am not just an atheist. I'm specifically an anti-theist. There's a lot of bitch-ass, goofy-ass, lame-ass atheists out there, right? Hell, there's atheists that be bitch-ass sips for theists. They'll sit here and argue with me all day over reality, over truth. Because I really don't know. Maybe they're not really atheists. I don't know. Or maybe they're just goofy and bitch made. I don't know. But the reason why I'm an anti-theist is because theism is so popular. I mean, literally, damn near the whole world subscribes to some form of theism. The only problem is zero, I repeat, zero of them can demonstrate theism to be true. It doesn't matter what brand of delusion any of them subscribe to, zero. A big fat whopping zero of them can demonstrate to us, to the world, that their ideology literally comports with the reality that we share and inhabit together. They make all of these claims and they fail so hard to show us that it's true. What's up, Faulty? They fail so hard to show us that what they claim is true. This wouldn't be as big of a problem if there weren't so fucking many of these people everywhere, in every sector of the population, in every position in government, in every fucking part of corporations and society, community, all that. I mean, this is a huge part of America and the world writ large. They subscribe to some form of theism, right? And it also wouldn't be that big of a deal. What's up, Law? What's good, my guy? It wouldn't be that big of a deal if these people weren't working so hard to muddy the waters, to poison the well, to obfuscate truth with their willful delusional bullshit. They claim they already got the answer. They got the ultimate purpose. They got everything tailor made. except for the fact that they can't demonstrate any of the shit that they claim to be true, particularly Christianity here in America. Zero Christians. 2/3 of our population, some 200 million people, subscribe to some form of Christianity. And despite 200 million American Christians existing, zero of them can demonstrate that Christianity is true. Zero of them can locate the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the Father, the Son, and or the Holy Spirit. I mean, zero of them can demonstrate that there's any actual value to these ideologies or to this specific ideology. Of course, you already know what it is, fam. We always getting W's around here. That's why they got to fight so hard to stop us. I mean, think about the fact that 200 million Americans can subscribe to this ideology and zero of them can show us. That's why they work so hard to stop us, because they have all these people and they can't figure out how to prove that they're not full of shit. And they've had all this time. They had so much opportunity. They had a multi-thousand-year head start. And we've reached this point in time that I call the end game, where they have to now actually put up or shut the fuck up forever, because they can't demonstrate that they are helping humanity actually fulfill its ultimate purpose. In fact, they try to stop us from even talking about what our actual purpose is to begin with. What is our purpose? What is the purpose of humanity? What exactly is humanity's purpose? What are our goals? What are our aims? What should be our goals? What should be our aims? Because as far as I'm concerned, we become a nation, we become a planet filled to the brim with people running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, with no clear sense of direction. Motherfuckers just be out here doing shit. And the problem is they be doing a lot of fuck shit, a lot of fucked up shit, goofy shit, antisocial shit, things that are literally harmful to our society, harmful to our communities. But it's become so normalized. It's almost like we're evil for not going along with the fucking program, for not going along with the show, for just being like, oh, well, we're not gonna just believe this dumb shit. We're actually gonna fucking have these standards. We're actually not just gonna accept whatever the fuck you say. You actually have to show us that what you're saying makes sense, that it can be corroborated by evidence, logic, and reason. Because otherwise, what the hell is the point? What's the point? If it doesn't help us understand the nature of our reality, then what's the point? What the fuck is the point of it? See, I state all the time, our ultimate goal of humanity, our ultimate purpose as human beings should be to master our reality. It is my personal belief, and I admit I could be wrong. I admit it. I will straight up say I could be wrong. My personal belief is that we created ourselves on some fucking cyclical cause and effect yin yang type shit. Because here's how I think of it, right? Everybody believes in this God thing, right? They're always talking about the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. The Lord is the creator. He's the Father, the Son, and the Holy, all this crap that they talk about. And in my personal opinion, theism is just an ancient version of the simulation hypothesis. It's the idea that there's this super programmer creator thing that created everything. To a degree, I get it. I understand that mind state. I understand that thought process. I mean, everything's got to come from something. How can something come from nothing? How can you take nothing and create something if there's nothing to begin with? Which is why you have to start to look at it like, well, maybe that's the wrong way to think about it. Maybe there was always something. Maybe there is no something from nothing. Maybe there's always been a something, so you're always getting something from something. It's difficult for people to comprehend that their preconceived notions could be misplaced. They could be faulty, they could be false, they could be inaccurate, they could be untrue. That's why we as a society, we as people have to come together to actually have real discussions about these topics. We have to truly engage in these topics because there have been long held notions, long held beliefs that just don't cut it no more. They never cut it, but in the modern age, they really, really, really don't cut it because they're not helping us towards our goal of mastering our reality, understanding our reality. But imagine if we were a society that did decide we wanted to master our reality, we wanted to create, or should I say, we wanted to discover how our nature came to be. We wanted to create a society that was purely focused on this idea. And so let's do a thought experiment, okay? Let's think about what it would be like to be such a society that wanted to master our reality, that said, yes, we want to master reality. We want to understand everything as much as possible so that we can actually, like, you know, modify everything for our collective benefit. What would that lead to? It would lead to us doing everything possible to understand our reality. And part of that process would include perhaps simulating a universe such as this one so that we could understand like how it started, how it came to be, what are all of its properties, because there might be well, we know that there are phenomena that we don't fully understand. There are aspects of our reality that we don't fully understand. There are different metrics we don't understand. You know, we got issues in physics, like, you know, I don't know if you've heard of the Hubble crisis that's happening right now, but long story short, there's this idea that there's the Hubble constant, but for some reason the Hubble constant is different based on whichever method they have to calculate it. It might not even be a constant. And this has a huge this poses a huge problem for the theory of everything because there might be something in regards to physics that we don't fully understand. I don't fully understand it. I'm not a physicist, so I'm not even gonna sit here and try to pretend like I understand it at all. Okay. It has something to do with the fucking Hubble constant. There's two different ways to calculate it that aren't meshing. The math ain't mathing, and it's kind of created a crisis because, you know, for people who dedicate themselves to this shit, when you have these kind of issues, it might redefine how we understand it. There might be something that we're missing. There might be some aspect that we don't fully understand. There might be some other fucking hypothetical. And I don't know. I don't know. Look, I leave it to the experts to figure it out. But the fact of the matter is that we still don't fully understand all these different things. And if we had a society that worked together interdependently with synergy to figure this shit out, we could probably figure this shit out. If people weren't just coming together so that they could shut their brains off and give their glory to God or whatever the fuck that means, we could probably solve a lot of problems. If people were actually putting their brains to use for useful purposes, actually trying to think through all these different things that pose difficulties to us understanding the nature of reality. You're not going to figure this shit out by reading the same old ancient sci-fi fantasy fucking bullshit. You don't figure out the fucking laws of physics. You don't figure out quantum physics. You don't figure out gravity and gravitational lensing and all this type of shit by reading fucking Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John over and over and over and over and over. It doesn't help us understand shit. It doesn't help us figure out new medicines, new cures for diseases, new fucking treatment methods, new fucking innovations. It doesn't help us at all in any of these different things. But if we were a society that worked on trying to understand and discover as much as possible, we might actually create ourselves, create a universe just like ours. so that we could understand how universes work. And now we're universe creators. Now we're universe builders. This is what is called becoming a Kardashev Omega civilization, where we pretty much beat the game, right? When we 100% the game, where we complete the main story and the side quests. Basically, when we figure out everything, when we discover the true nature of how our reality works, is it just a universe and that's it? Is it a superverse? Is it a multiverse? Is it an omniverse? Is it an E8 lattice? Is it a bunch of strings? Is it fucking a simulation? Or is it something else entirely that we haven't considered? These are the types of, oh, Eddie Bauer is about to file for bankruptcy. Anyway, um, these are the kinds of questions that we need to be answering as soon as possible. And you would think that these would be at the top of the list for problems that we need to solve. You would think that these are the types of things that we would focus our fucking efforts to solving, to figuring out. But when you have a huge swath of the population that believes that they already have the answer, that they believe they already have the correct answer, and they fail miserably to demonstrate actually that they have evidence to demonstrate their bullshit claims, or that they can use this ideology for useful purposes, such as what we're talking about. Now we have a clash, because for so long, so many people subscribe to these ideas. And for so long, they were used to be able to use force to enforce these ideas, to force people to subscribe to these ideas. I mean, to the point where you would have different warring, what's the word I'm looking for? Warring factions. You would have different warring factions, like literal kingdoms, or motherfuckers fighting for kingdoms on some Game of Thrones shit that would change the country's religion based on who won the fucking chair. You had this one kingdom that was Catholic. Now this new fucking regime came in, took over. Now they're fucking Baptists. And if you don't fucking convert to baptism, they're gonna kill your ass. But see, now we live in what's called modern times. And in these modern times, in the modern age, unless you live in like a fucking war-torn country like Iraq or some shit, you don't get to just shoot people and kill people and bomb people just because you believe some crazy ass retarded shit. Or at least so they say, until you find that actually, I don't know. Maybe you do here in America, which is why President Clinton had to create what was called the FACE Act to get these Christian loonies to stop bombing abortion clinics because they're fucking crazy as fuck. And therefore, in order to get the bill passed, he had to compromise and capitulate to these fucking loonies by saying, okay, you can't bomb an abortion clinic or a church, which actually might violate the Constitution, because the very first thing that the Constitution says is Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. That's the first thing it says. And the FACE Act actually appears to do just that, creates a law. It's a law that respects an institution or an establishment of religion. It literally does that. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, does Christianity align with reality? Does it help us understand the nature of reality? Does it help us discover new understandings and ideas about the nature of reality? And the answer is a big, fat, unequivocal hell no. Literally not at all. Not in any way. Like not even remotely, not even kind of. They've had thousands of years. Christians have had thousands of years. And we're talking about Christianity just because that's the most popular religion here in America. But we're talking about all of theism, Christians, Muslims, all that sci-fi fantasy fucking bullshit. They've had thousands of years to demonstrate to us that they have anything. I mean, they can provide us with any shred of evidence that they could, and they got nothing. They have nothing but a bunch of bitch made ass, goofy ass, baseless ass, useless ass excuses as to why they can't show us any of that crap that they talk about. And that's it. That's literally it. Oh, yeah, and their propensity for violence at times. They can definitely show us their propensity to violence. Because they can commit a lot of violence, especially because they're so anti-abortion. I mean, like, it's so crazy. Like, when I show y'all this type of shit, like, it literally blows my mind how these fucking loonies engage in these antisocial behaviors because they believe their crazy shit that much. But it's not just that, but the crazy shit that they believe isn't even substantiated by their own group, by their own lore. I mean, this is why they create the Face Act. Okay. Between the years 1978 and 1993, there was an increase in the number of crimes committed against abortion providers and abortion clinics. According to statistics gathered by the National Abortion Federation, an organization of abortion providers, since 1977 in the United States and Canada, there have been at least 9 murders, 17 attempted murders, 406 death threats, 179 incidents of assault or battery, and 5 kidnappings committed against abortion providers. In addition, since 1977 in the United States and Canada, property crimes committed against abortion providers have included 41 bombings, 175 arsons, 96 attempted bombings or arsons, 692 bomb threats, 1,993 incidents of trespassing, 1,400 incidents of vandalism, and 100 attacks with butyric acid. Okay, now, look, and I've said this countless times, I am not pro-abortion. I am pro-choice. There is a very subtle but fundamental difference, okay? I do believe that life should be preferable to death, right? So I'm not just like, yay, let's just fucking be all about abortion, but at the same time, I live in real life. I understand that there are nuances to abortions and that therefore it should be something that's available, that's made available to any and everybody who needs it. But that what we should be doing is creating the type of society where people don't feel the need to get an abortion, where we have improved our collective quality of life to where people far and wide don't really feel like getting an abortion because life is so great. Why would they want to get an abortion? Right? Because one of the key reasons that women will get an abortion is obviously due to rape. And the irony is that you're more likely to get raped in a church than anywhere else. And I find it very strange that Christians never mention this fact at all. They don't seem to even be the least bit concerned about that. Half of them don't even know that shit. The other half definitely know that shit. And they don't care. They do everything possible to cover it up when it does happen. When they see Pastor Johnson or they see fucking priest Steinberg engaging in these illicit behaviors, they'll fucking help these fucking weirdos cover the shit up. Which is ironic. Like, wait, so all this rape happening on y'all watch every day. I mean, we haven't done it in a while, but I can bet my life that we got new stories of rape occurring in the church by their leaders, by their fucking representatives, and nothing being done about it. Look, we just pulled up a story, and think about this. This was so funny. This occurred at Christ Hospital. Christ Hospital. Check this out. Check this fucking loser. Look like a loser. What's up with his fucking nose, bro? What the fuck is going on there? According to Local 12 WKRC Cincinnati, tri-state nurse accused of raping hospital patient with dementia at Christ Hospital. At Christ Hospital. Hey, Christ, why the fuck would Christ allow one of his nurses to rape a patient? Where are the Christians to talk about how egregious it is that at their hospital, at Christ's own hospital, patients are getting raped? Why would that happen? How could that happen? How is that even possible? Because they have the supernatural, super ultra intelligent, super intelligence thing that they always are so fucking like obsessed with. And yet, it's always on their watch. This crazy shit happens every single time without fail. And despite the fact that these sci-fi fantasy fan clubs come together every single week, they never talk about any of this stuff, let alone how they can actually fix it, solve it, reduce it, remove it, use the power of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit to solve any of this shit at all. I mean, check this out. Which one should I click on? Because I think these might be the same story. Let me see. Oh, they're not the same story. They're two different stories. Oh my God. So check this out, right? Arlington pastor arrested in Irving, charged with indecency of a child, affidavit says. Note the time, note the time. Paul living good. Oh, what's that? Today, Tuesday, February the 3rd, 2026 at 1:12 p.m. Central Standard Time, okay? So, according to this, a pastor for an Arlington-based church was arrested and charged for indecency with a child sexual contact, a second-degree felony stemming from an allegation from 2008, according to an arrest warrant affidavit. An arrest affidavit obtained by WFAA stated that the victim, a relative of the suspect, oh, a relative, isn't that lovely, told police on June 20th, 2025, the incident happened in the summer of 2008 when she was 14 years old. According to the victim's testimony, she was in the Irving apartment with Troyce Hernandez, 50, when he started touching her while watching a fucking movie. This fucking piece of shit. Okay, and it says here, Hernandez is a pastor at True Grace Church. True Grace. Yeah, that definitely sounds like true fucking grace. Raping your own, what, niece? Was his niece? Daughter, cousin, first, second, third cousin? What the fuck? Now, that's one story. Right, this was a story from 5 hours ago. Here's another story from 7 hours ago. See, and this is why I was wondering if they were the same incident, because it's the literal look, check this. They're literally right under each other. They're literally basically the fucking same kind of story, except they're not. Because this is the other story. See, this is the story that we were just looking at. This one right here. This is the next story. The one from 7 hours ago. This fucking loser, right? That says hearing held for West Virginia pastor accused of sexually abusing girls for years. Okay? Weirdo. Oh, look, my internet connection is unstable, even though I got 4 out of 5 bars, but whatever. Tuesday marked the first hearing in Lewis County Court for John Radcliffe, a former pastor accused of sexually abusing young girls over the period of several years. Okay. We mention this stuff because while these loonies are so like, oh, we gotta stop abortion, these kinds of stories constantly happen every day. Damn near every day. We just showed you 3 stories from today. Okay, now the one story is some shit that happened fucking damn near 18 years ago, right? In 2008. But the point is, these were reported today. And look at this. This is one from 5 days ago. Peep this. Motherfuckers is fucking paywall, y'all. Paywall. Can't fucking just read the article. We gotta pay $5.99 for 1 month. Or 99 cents for 1 month because we can't just access the information freely. Okay, but this is what it says. Lutheran church leader in Illinois faces child pornography charge in St. Louis. A Lutheran Church Missouri Synod official from Springfield, Illinois faces a child pornography charge, federal authorities said Thursday. That was 5 days ago. 5 days ago. These are the things, yo, what's good, my guy? What up? So basically, I'm just basically demonstrating the absurdity of the fact that you got these loony Christians, right? Blowing up abortion clinics, kidnapping people, murdering people, attempting to murder people, bombing shit, trying to bomb shit, vandalizing shit, arsonizing shit, trespassing on property, vandalizing property, and doing all kinds of crazy shit because of these abortions, right? They're so, oh my God, they're so against abortion. But they don't care about ensuring the high quality of life for children once they actually are born. So they're willing to kill people because of abortion, right? That's how far they're willing to go. But they're not willing to go that far to ensure that children have an actually high quality of life. Because these same motherfuckers that'll bomb some shit be the same motherfuckers that either rape a kid or help somebody get away with raping a kid, or even help somebody rape a kid and then help them get away with it. Ain't that some crazy shit? I swear to God, it makes me sick. And then you wonder why I'm an atheist. Born since I was 86. Okay. Couldn't help myself. Had to rhyme. The fact of the matter is, you have a nation filled with people who are so anti-abortion. They're like, no, abortion is like the worst thing in the fucking world. It's super duper anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-the Lord. Not only can they not show us this Lord thing, they can't show us that this Lord thing is actually against abortion and that this is like worth doing. These actions are worth doing. They're not showing us how these actions are actually helping us in society. Matter of fact, it sounds like terrorism. This sounds like some shit that ISIS would do. In fact, I'm pretty sure ISIS did a lot of shit like that. I'm pretty sure ISIS murdered people, kidnapped people, attempted to murder people, threatened a lot of fucking people, engaged in assault and battery, kidnapped a lot, but they definitely kidnapped a lot of people. In fact, they probably did a lot of that to their own people and to our people. We look at them, we call them terrorists, but when motherfuckers do it here, well, see, they're just good old Christians. They're just good old Americans, American Christians. They're just totally good Christians. And somehow that's different from ISIS because what exactly? Um, and this helps our society improve. How exactly? Because I'm kind of lost. I'm kind of trying to figure out how this actually literally helps us. And I can't figure it out. Like, how does this help improve our quality of life? How does this help make us a more peaceful society? Because I don't know how bombing shit can be considered peaceful in any way, shape, or form at all. I really don't. I really don't. And that's why Clinton had to pass this ridiculously, seemingly unconstitutional bill to stop these fucking loonies from blowing up shit because they're that fucking crazy. They can't show us that there's a Father, a Son, or a Holy Spirit at all. In fact, if you read their lore, the Lord seems to be all about killing children and babies, literally encourages it in various places, multiple places. And these loony Christians completely ignore that. And the irony as well is they don't seem to have a problem killing children and babies here in America, across the world, or any of that. That's the irony. These people, you don't see these people protesting when the child dies in the accidental shooting or any of that shit. You never see that. Ever. These super duper wonderful Christians, they act like they care so much about the Constitution. Cap. Because a lot of these super duper, super Christy Christians seem to shit all over this Constitution shit. They don't seem to give a fuck about the Fifth Amendment at all. It's like it doesn't even exist to them. These fucking super duper patriots that claim to care so much about the Constitution, it's like they forgot the part. They forgot the part that says, hold on, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. It's like that shit doesn't even exist to them. It's like they totally forgot that they even exist. It's like it totally schmogly just slipped their fucking minds. It just slipped their fucking position. It just slipped their fucking consciousness that we have these things called rights. These motherfuckers, they studied law all throughout their time in college and law school. They passed the bar. They graduated. They probably went to work for some law firm. Maybe they even started their own law firm. And they practiced law for like years, maybe even decades. Only to then earn these positions in government where now they're making laws and they forgot their own laws. They forgot their own laws. Like I say, like I've been saying, I find it strange how we've entered this point in time where all these Americans end up getting killed by law enforcement, and the Fifth Amendment is never mentioned at all in any of these situations. Breonna Taylor, Sean Bell, Sandra Bland, George Floyd, Hamadou Diallo, fucking obviously Renee Good and fucking Alex Preddy and all these people who have been murdered by law enforcement. Each of these incidents was a constitutional violation. How can you call it law enforcement if they are literally violating law? You should call them law violationists. They're not enforcing the law. They're violating the law. Every time they kill us without due process, that was a violation. He thought he had a gun. We saw his cell phone and we mistook it for a gun. Yeah, even if that were true, this you forgot you forgot this part. You see that part right there that says Amendment 2, right to bear arms. Yeah, sorry, not a good enough excuse, you fucks. Not a good enough excuse. But yeah, I know. I know. I'm probably getting a little off track. But the point I'm trying to make is, in order to master our reality, we have to be alive. We can't master shit if we are dead. We can't. We can't master shit if we're dead. If we die, that's it. At least as far as I know. I mean, who knows? Like I said earlier, maybe we're in the superverse, multiverse, ultraverse, bulkyverse, polyverse, a pochiverse, a sochi, whatever I don't know. Maybe when we die, we wake up in another universe and we continue. Maybe it's like you die and there's like a video game. It's like you hit a checkpoint, you start off at the last checkpoint. I don't fucking know. Right? Maybe that is possible, but until we actually demonstrate, unless we determine this is actually the truth, we can't just assume that it is. We can't. So, therefore, we must create a society that demonstrates that life is preferable to death. Okay? So, when these religious institutions are so anti-abortion, if they really, really, truly were anti-abortion, they would understand that the most efficient way to prevent abortions at all is to actually improve the conditions, to improve the social conditions that would de-incentivize people from getting abortions. That way, why would anybody want to get an abortion when life is great? Where women don't have to worry about giving birth to a child that was conceived through rape, via rape, things like that. Or where we're spreading so much information that teenagers and those who are of sexual reproductive age can have all the tools, all the resources, all the information they need so that they can prevent pregnancies that are unwanted in the first place. Why would these loonies, if they really were anti-abortion, why would they think that they can use violence to prevent abortion? Because even if, like, I mean, obviously they roll back Roe v. Wade, but even if they just made abortion completely illegal, like totally illegal, like, yo, you can't go to the fucking Planned Parenthood. You can't go to an abortion clinic. You can't go to a doctor that provides this service. Motherfuckers still gonna do all kind of shit to try to get an abortion or to terminate a pregnancy to ensure a stillborn. See, and that's another thing that they never talk about, right? They're so against abortion, but they never say anything about stillborns. They don't say anything about SIDS, right? They don't say anything about miscarriages. They don't seem to care at all about none of that shit. It's specifically abortions that they care so much about. And why is that the topic they care so much about? If they cared about life so much, why is that the only aspect of life they care about? That's why it's capped when they say that they're pro-life, because they're not. They have no problem with death and destruction. They just want death and destruction on their terms. That's why these loonies are so pro-war, particularly in the right wing. They don't give a fuck. Yo, game on for war. Give the military all the money so they can go over there and kill all those towel heads. Because who gives a fuck? They're only pro-life when it comes to abortion, but not when it comes to our literal social fabric. These are the hypocrisies that they fucking suffer from that we have to point out. You are not pro-life. You are only pro-life in the sense of you'd rather children be born. Period. You don't care about their quality of life. You don't care about the conditions they live in that might cause them to die. How can you say they're pro-life? If anything, they're pro-death or they're pro-birth. They're not pro-life. That's why they subscribe to a death cult. That's why they are obsessed with death. They believe that when they die, they're going to go to the super duper happy place, but they cannot demonstrate that there is a super duper happy place. And whenever we press them about this shit, we get a whole bunch of fucking bullshit. Because they can't show us that any of that shit is true, that it's real, that it exists in real life. That's why I'm an anti-theist, because theism is a bunch of cap, a bunch of crap. They can't show us a shred of any of their ideology. They can't even show us the core tenet, the core portion of their belief system. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the whatever deity that theists subscribe to, particularly in Christianity, the triune Trinity triumvirate thing. They claim that their purpose is to serve this thing. Like, that is the purpose of Christianity, to serve the Lord. But the problem is they can't demonstrate that there is even such a thing. 100% of the time that we demand these loonies to show us their super duper deity, they fail miserably to do that. As I always state, it wouldn't be such a big deal if it wasn't so fucking many of these fucking people throughout the world and here in America. 2/3 of the entire country subscribe to this bullshit ass idea. Zero, I repeat, a big fat zero of these people can demonstrate any of this idea shit that they claim is so true. None. None of these people can show us how this ideology helps us to solve any major problem or to discover any new aspect of our reality, to help us understand the theory of everything, to help us understand quantum physics, quantum computing, new medicine, anything that would be useful right now. These people cannot demonstrate that they can use their ideology to address any of these issues in any tangible, meaningful way at all. Because if they could, what exactly is stopping them right now? What's stopping them? If they had the truth as they claim, why can't they show us at any point in time at all? Right? We should be past this point where we're constantly arguing and bickering over this. That's why I tell people all the time, I don't do debates with these people. I'm not here to debate with any of these people. I do not try to argue with any of them. Anybody comes to me talking that Jesus fucking bullshit, show me this Jesus character right now. Show us this Jesus character, where exactly it can be located, how exactly it can be detected, what are its exact current whereabouts, and then how can we use this Jesus stuff to directly address and solve any of these problems that exist: homelessness, hunger, climate change, fucking rape. Yeah, let's just pick that one. Let's stick on that one. Yes, show us how you can use Jesus to stop rape, especially when your very leaders, the ones that claim they directly interface with the Lord, are the ones doing the rape in the first place. We just looked at 2 stories back to back from today. right? Matter of fact, let me just put it back on camera just in case you're new, just in case you missed it. 2 stories from today. One right on top of the other. Hearing held for West Virginia pastor accused of sexually abusing girls for years. Arlington pastor arrested in Irving charged with indecency of a child, affidavit says. Pastors, both of them pastors. I mean, we're talking about 2 people who supposedly, allegedly were handpicked by the Lord. Why is it that the Lord always picks rapists for some reason? Why is there such a high percentage of pastors that are getting caught for rape? In fact, why is the number above 0? If they have the highest, greatest, most staunch and most solid moral code as they claim, then why every day, damn near, these stories are constantly being found? This is 2 stories from today in 2 separate places. How can this be? How can this be if the Lord is guiding these people? Look at this shit. Look at this shit. This is from 4 days ago. 4 days ago by MLive. Church leadership knew about alleged sexual abuse by youth pastor, lawsuits claim. I don't even need to click on that. We don't even need to click on that. The fact that that's even a statement that even could be made should itself be demonstrable of how full of shit this religion is. That's why I say that theism as a whole, particularly Christianity, is the greatest, longest running scam in human history. The greatest, longest running sci-fi fantasy MLM scam, multi-level marketing scam in human history. Because that's all it is. It's a marketing scam. That's what Christianity is. That's what religion is. It's a marketing scam. They're selling you a product / service that doesn't exist. They're selling you salvation. What the fuck is that? Salvation from what? From what? What are you getting saved from? Because clearly you're not getting saved from rape. Because clearly rapists is just raping all through the church, and the church leadership be knowing about it. They know it. They just don't do shit. And the Lord seems to be completely incapable of doing shit because it picked these fucking rapists to represent it in the first place. Either that or these people are full of shit and there ain't no motherfucking God. Either way, this belief system is reprehensible. I mean, look at this shit. This is from CBS News from 5 days ago. 5 days ago. Fired Catholic school teacher charged with sexually abusing child while working as private tutor. This fucking asshat piece of shit. Weirdo. Oh, look, this is here in Chicago. A former Catholic school teacher who just days ago was fired by the Archdiocese of Chicago has been charged with sexually abusing a child while working as a private tutor in southwest suburban Chicago, I guess. Let's click on it because this is my shit. Note the time by Todd Fuhrer and Tara Molina, updated on January 29th, 2026 at 8:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. Oh, he was a private tutor in Southwest Orland Park. Brett Smith, 43, has been charged with 1 count of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. Okay, look. Check this out, man. I'm getting to the point where, low-key, I'm starting to not feel sorry for people. I mean, look. We're always going to feel bad for children getting raped. But at this point, fuck these bitch-made-ass parents who are refusing to accept the truth. That these loonies don't know what the hell they're talking about. Look at this fucking loser. Look at this fucking loser, bruh. Bruh, this dude is a few years older than me. Okay, I turned 40 this year. This loser is 43. This loser, this goof Brett Smith, this fucking loser claims that he talks to the Lord, fam. This loser is talking like he talks to the Lord. And these people out here fucking believe this shit. I don't know how. I don't get it. How can people still believe these fucking loonies, bro? How are y'all still falling? Literally still falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Didn't Axel Foley tell you in fucking goddamn Beverly Hills Cop, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe? How the fuck is it 2026 and you fucking loonies are still falling for it? How? And look, it says, look at this. Look at this. You can't write this shit. Substitute teacher with a history of child molestation allegations. A history. You see what I'm saying? These minor fuckers be knowing. They be knowing that this shit happens. And this woman, oh man, look, and this is the type of shit that makes me mad. They want to fucking cry and act like they didn't know. They didn't know. Look at this shit.
And Illinois State Police. A spokesperson for DCFS told us they've opened an investigation. Illinois State Police tell us both the Archdiocese of Chicago and the Chicago Board of Education requested fingerprint checks for Smith in 2024 and 2025, telling us they can't share the information shared in those criminal histories. We know Smith legally changed his name in 2019.
Oh!
He used to go by Brett Zagarov.
Oh!
Police tell us he goes by BJ Smith and
oh!
name BJ Wilhelm.
BJ. What is the irony that he would call himself BJ? They don't even try to hide it. They don't even try to hide it. They just straight up with the shit. Yeah, he be giving out BJs to all the fucking minors out there. Come on.
In 2021, 12 News in Phoenix reported the Arizona Attorney General accused.
Wait, that was so quick.
By BJ Smith and has used the name BJ Wilhelm. I mean, it still bothers me. In 2021, 12 News in Phoenix reported the Arizona Attorney General accused him of legally changing his name to hide his past. Accused
oh, you don't say.
Of inappropriately touching children. He was sentenced to a probation on a forgery charge in 2022.
A fucking slap on the wrist.
Before changing his name, Smith was working as a tutor and was charged with child molesting in Porter County, Indiana.
Come on.
Misdemeanor battery.
Come on.
In 2015.
Come, a 5-year-old, bro. What the fuck, bro? Nah, bro. Nah, bro. I don't want to hear it from these fucking sci-fi fantasy loonies, bro. This is par for the course, man. This is constant. We ain't got to hear no more. This has been going on this whole entire time. This has been going on for centuries. But just to be on some fucking modest shit, just to be on some fucking super duper conservative shit, we'll just say decades. We'll just say for decades this shit has been going on. The information is not fucking hidden. This is publicly available information. I talk about this shit every single day, how there are literally $100 million settlements happening all across the country. All across the country. Now, this is all despite the fact that not a single Christian of any kind, Catholic, Protestant, fucking goddamn Mormon, fucking Jehovah's Witness, none of these motherfuckers, not a single one. It doesn't matter which brand, which branch, which subgroup, which denomination, which sub-denomination, which fucking subgroup, sub-standard, it doesn't matter. Out of the 2.4 billion Christians in the world, out of 2.4 billion people in the world, not a single one of them, not one, can show us any of their lore at all. They can't show us angels, demons, cherubs, fucking Satan, Beelzebub, the devil, 666, none of that shit. But they can show us constant stories of rape, Constant. I'm talking about constant. Constant. Consistent. Persistent. Super duper, super hyper efficient. You want to talk about rape? They are hyper efficient rapists, fam. They're amazing at it. They are the most amazing rapists I ever seen. I've never seen any group get accused of so many instances of rape on a near daily basis, while also at the same time simultaneously failing so miserably to demonstrate that any of their sci-fi fantasy lore is true in any way. In any way, in any tangible, meaningful way. Every single fucking day, we demand of these fucking losers to show us any of their sci-fi fantasy fucking bullshit, and they have failed miserably. They continuously fail miserably. They will always fail miserably because it is simply not true. It's not true. And I don't understand how in 2026 people still continue to subscribe to this baseless, useless garbage. I mean, literally, all it takes is just saying, hey, show us the Lord, and they fail. Immediately, instantly. You get a bunch of goddamn apologetics, you get a bunch of excuses, you get a bunch of nobody has to prove anything to you. Why does God have to answer to you? You're gonna find out very soon, and you're not gonna like it. You're gonna go to the terrible, horrible place. It's gonna be so hot. Oh, it's gonna be so hot. You're gonna be burning. You're gonna be. Yeah, I'm unmoved by that. I'm totally, completely unmoved by that. I want to know now. I don't want to know one of these days, one day in the far, far future. I want to know right now. If it means I'm going to go to the terrible, horrible place, whatever. Because if you ask me, this is a terrible, horrible place. And it's a terrible, horrible place because these fucking loonies pushing their bullshit ass agenda, accomplishing not a goddamn thing other than trying to stop us from figuring out reality because they want to purport that they done figured it out, even though they don't know shit. All they can do is recite the same old ancient sci-fi fantasy fucking passages from the ancient sci-fi fantasy novel with their fucking useless platitudes and their useless quotes. It says in John chapter 5, verse 12, some dumb shit. It says in Galatians chapter 12, verse 5, some dumb shit. It says in Revelations chapter 23, verse 6 to 12, some stupid ass useless shit that we can't use to improve the quality of our lives or to discover any new aspect of reality, to actually discover the theory of everything, understand physics more, improve our fucking health and wellness, discover new fucking treatments and cures for diseases. None of that shit. At all. See, people subscribe to theism because people really, really want to believe so hard, so bad, that theism gives them purpose. They want to believe that theism gives them a true understanding. That's why you'll see these theists. They'll ask us, well, if God isn't real, then what's the meaning of life? Or what's the point? What's the purpose of living if there's no God? If there's no God, then how can we have purpose? And that's a bunch of fucking cap. Bunch of excuses. Because if you ask me, there not being a God gives us even more purpose. Because I say this all the time. Why would you want to worship a God that you can't even demonstrate exists, instead of actually becoming the very God that you want to worship? Actually, no, not even becoming the very, because honestly, that the God you worship is a piece of shit, idiotic, imbecilic, incompetent as fuck. We could become better. We can become even better than those gods that these people worship. Where instead of being like super jealous and super fucking incompetent, making stupid ass antisocial, psychopathic, narcissistic decisions, we can make sensible decisions. We can make healthy decisions. We can make useful, pro social decisions, decisions that actually help improve the world on our quest to trying to understand the nature of our total reality and our place in it, right? Because we could be literally like the universe's consciousness. We could be the universe understanding itself because we're in the universe and we're of the universe, despite the sci-fi bullshit they want to claim. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. Cap. Not only are you in the world, but you are literally a part of it. You wouldn't exist if you weren't a part of it. We are all star stuff. We are all star stuff. We would not exist if it weren't for the biochemical processes that exist as a result of the fucking Big Bang and the interstellar clouds that form these, the star and the solar system and all that shit. None of this stuff would exist. We would not exist. These people want to believe that there's this supernatural super entity that just somehow magically made everything and made us. But they can't demonstrate that there's such a thing. And they don't even think to bother to even try to look for it because they know that there's no thing there. They know that there's no there. There's no thing. There's no thing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Anywhere. They say it's everywhere, but they don't show us anywhere that it can be found, that it can be located, that it can be detected in any tangible, meaningful way. They talk in code, they talk in woo, they talk in deepity, they talk in poetry, they talk in what I call tar talk. They just say a bunch of shit that don't mean shit. They say things they can't demonstrate, they can't show us that it is actually useful, helpful, insightful, fucking valuable. It's just a bunch of nothing. And ultimately, what does it accomplish? What does their ideology actually accomplish? What value does it add to the world? What value does it actually add to our lives? You get a whole bunch of people that'll say things like, well, it makes me feel better, right? It makes me at peace. I love life. It's just so wonderfully amazing. And, I am more at peace. It helps solve my anxiety, all this fucking loony shit. But ultimately, they can't show us how it actually literally helps. Because as I always like to show y'all, how does it explain this? If we're now 85 seconds to midnight, according to the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, and you're like happy and have less anxiety, something is fucking wrong with your brain. Something is wrong with your brain. Something is wrong with your ideology because you seem to be content with the fact that we might be on the verge of destroying ourselves. And that is a major fucking problem, especially when you have a huge swath of the population that subscribes to this ideology that acts like this 85 seconds to midnight. I know, Biggie. I believe in the Lord anyway. Well, if we all die, I'm going to go to heaven. So what's the problem? That's the problem. That you, A, seem to be content with dying, and B, think that you're going to go to some super happy place that you don't even know exists or not. And you want to engage in all these different fucking mind fucky games to try to fucking be content with this shit. And it doesn't make any sense. Because how does this mindset help us understand the nature of reality? See, the whole point of this Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, the whole point of this doomsday clock is to act as a metric for how we as a society are failing to protect ourselves, failing to prioritize our collective survival, because the powers that be seem to be completely unconcerned. They seem to be completely apathetic to the potential of possibly dying, which is crazy, which is literally suicidal. It's psychopathic. It's absurd. Why would you continue to engage in this behavior when you see the signs that this is detrimental to our collective benefit, and you just continue doing it anyway? Matter of fact, not only do you continue doing it, but you work directly against people like me who are trying to call attention to this shit. Why are all the major media outlets, why are all the major influencers with their billions and millions of views and followers, with their vast resources, with their fucking wonderful fucking assets and their fucking awards and their winnings and all that shit, why don't they seem to be even the least bit concerned? All of them. I mean, all the way down the list. Even on the liberal side, right? They don't seem to be the least bit concerned about any of this shit. They don't campaign on it. They don't talk about it. Like, even right now, where are all the liberal politicians? Where are all of the political hopefuls, right? The people who want to fucking run for 2028. Where are those wonderful Democrats talking about how this is a travesty and how they're going to work tirelessly to ensure that we don't destroy ourselves, right? Because again, how can we master our existence if we are all dead? How? How can we figure anything out? How can we solve anything if we're dead? Please, somebody explain to me how we can figure out anything if we are all dead. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would we want to be in this type of situation where it's even a remote possibility, where we have all the resources, all the tools, all the manpower available to shore this shit up right now? I mean, we have 300 plus million people here in America alone. 300 million people, right? We got over $1 trillion worth of a budget. We got so many people right now. Like I said earlier, you got influencers, you got celebrities. Hell, you just got regular people with good ass jobs, with big followings on social media. They make good money at their jobs or whatever they do for their careers. They have the reach to reach countless people, right? They got all kinds of tens and hundreds of thousands, millions of followers, right? They all have the opportunity to talk about this shit, to address this shit, to shore up all of this shit if this was in their purview to do, and it's not. All these religious organizations, with all of their fucking money and their budget, all the religious based companies and all of these corporations, all these banks that have all the resources, they got all the money. They could address this shit right now. All the shit. And they literally refuse because their goal is getting theirs. That's it. All they care about is getting theirs. They don't care about you, me, any of us. That's why they don't do shit for you, me, any of us at all. They don't even try to address any of the things we talk about. Matter of fact, they try to shut us down. That's what we've experienced on social media outright. These fucking psychos constantly working to shut us down, censor us, suppress us, straight up get us banned off of social media because they don't want anybody talking about this. That's why those with the very means to do all the things to shore this shit up and talk about it, make it front page news every single day, don't. That's why they don't. That's why you don't see this CBS, NBCs, ABCs, the New York Times, the Washington Post, Fox News, the Daily Mail, the fucking the Blaze, or any of this shit. None of these motherfuckers give a fuck. Half of these motherfuckers are delusional as hell and just live in total la-la land. The other half want to pretend like they sort of, kind of, maybe, sort of, possibly, kind of, sort of, but not really, but they kind of, sort of care about some of the stuff. Not this stuff, but like some stuff. Like, oh, those Republicans are anti-gay. And look, I'm pro-LGBT. I'm pro all that shit. I'm pro all that shit. But at the same time, I think that our collective survival is a much more important issue. Like, for everybody, not just the LGBT, but everybody, even those who are not LGBT, no, people like me who are not on the list, who are not on the spectrum, because like if we die, then what does it matter what your fucking sexual proclivity is? Because you're dead. You can't have a sexual proclivity. You can't have a fucking sexual orientation if you're dead. You're just dead. You're just dead. So that's why we gotta have these discussions, because ultimately, what is the purpose of humanity, fam? If the purpose is not to master our reality, to discover the true meaning of life, the true meaning of existence, to truly understand the nature of our reality, then what the hell are these loonies talking about? Why should we do any of the shit that they say? And why do they make it so difficult for us to talk about it? Why do they employ all of these dark patterns to prevent us from having these conversations, from challenging their pseudo-intellectual, anti-scientific garbage? Because if what they were saying was the truth, it would be science. It would literally be science. They could show us right now, it's 6:52 p.m. Central Standard Time on February the 3rd, 2026. If what they were saying was actually literally true, why is it so hard for them to show us right now at any point in time? By the time you watch this, it probably won't even be February 3rd, right? And yet they still will fail 100% of the time to demonstrate a shred of their claims. It doesn't matter how passionate they say it. They can really, really, really say it with a lot of passion that the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ will totally transform your life. That doesn't make it true, though. It doesn't make it real. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen, because y'all have had plenty of time to make it happen. If it were going to happen, you had plenty of time to show us that it was going to happen, that it's true, that it's real. You have not. I think that more than enough time has elapsed for us to call it a fucking religion, a ideology as a whole. Theism is false. It's false. It's completely, totally, and utterly false. Billions of people around the world are wrong. They have nothing. And they can try arguing that absence of evidence doesn't mean evidence of absence, whatever the fuck. Yes, it does. After 1,000 years, I think it's pretty safe to say you're full of shit. Now, these fuckers, they try to play these fucking games, right? They'll do things like, oh, well, we didn't really discover black holes until like relatively recently. So does that mean black holes didn't exist? But see, here's the thing. If somebody 1,000 years ago just asserted that there's these things called black holes that exist, unless they have like an astrophysical basis for this concept, it's not a justifiable belief, even if it was true. Because the whole point is, you don't just assert shit to be true just cause. Even if it just so happens that in this particular case it might be true, that doesn't mean that it's true. Because this is not how reality works. I can't just say, oh yeah, I have $100 million in my bank account right now, and then it's just true. I mean, I would love for that to work like that. I wish I could just say, you know what? I have 100 bajillion, quintillion dollars in my checking accounts right now. And then I open up my banking app and it just shows me 100 bajillion, quintillion dollars in my checking account. That would be awesome. I would actually be like, you know what? Maybe there is something to this Jesus shit. But that's not how reality works, and it will never work like that. You actually have to demonstrate the things that you're talking about. You can posit whatever idea that you want, but until you can demonstrate that it is accurate, unless you can demonstrate that it's literally true with evidence, facts, data, statistics, things that you can demonstrate, there's no good reason to believe it. There's just no good reason. You can believe it all day, but you can't assert it as fact, as truth. You can't say, well, all the evidence points to it. When we ask you for any evidence, well, scientists prove that the Lord is real. Oh, yeah? Yeah? For real? Where? See, you gotta, see, why would you even want to talk like that, fam? Why would anybody want to talk like that? See, I'm the type of person, I love demonstrating the shit I talk about. I love being able to say something and then boom, show you like, oh, look, and look here's the evidence. Look, it says right here, some real shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it says here, um, yeah, due process. Yeah, shit. Like, you know what I mean? I like to show y'all stuff. I do not like dealing in bullshit. I don't like making shit up or dealing with made up shit, accepting people's baseless, useless claims. Because what good does that do us? We live in the modern age now. So we're supposed to be in what's called the information age, but it's morphed into the disinformation age because too many industries, too many companies, too many entities, too many individuals benefit greatly from fucking bullshit. Antisocial, garbage ass psychopathy, psychosis, psychotic garbage, things that don't actually comport with real life. They benefit from these antisocial ideologies, and they have to keep the ruse going no matter what, even if it kills us all. Because see, the thing is, now that we got the internet, now that we have social media, now that we have AI, the paradigm is changing. People can't just bullshit anymore. They can try their damnedest, but it doesn't work. That's why I love doing lives, right? You can't deep fake this, at least not yet. At least not yet. But even still, motherfuckers gotta show us the shit that they're talking about. You can't just say some shit, some dumb shit to me and think I'm supposed to just accept it at face value anymore. Because how do we reach our potential with bullshit? How do we figure out the truth of reality? How do we discover our human origins with fucking ancient sci-fi fantasy fucking nonsense? We can't. So that's why we have to dismiss the disinformation. We have to put our heads together. We have to work interdependently with synergy to trade information, empower each other, and enrich each other, and educate each other about the truth, about the truth of reality. We have to be able to ensure that the information that we have available is high quality so that we can build our collective wisdom, right? So that we can build our collective intelligence. One of the main reasons why we've become the disinformation age is because the powers that be love to spread disinformation. Not just wrong information, but intentionally wrong information. They know that they full of shit. They know that this shit is propaganda, but by keeping us separated, by keeping us divided, that hinders our collective ability to keep them in check, to hold them accountable for their fucking bullshit. Right? That's why they love censoring people like me who tell the truth, who show you the truth, who will show you truth from mainstream news agencies. That's why I had to transfer the fucking Substack in the first place. That's why I had to transfer to YouTube in the first place. Because at the end of the day, these fuckers on TikTok and all these other mainstream social media companies and mainstream media organizations, legacy media, they're full of shit. They've been full of shit this whole time. This is why I keep trying to show y'all. How does a loony like Charlie Kirk get 9.6 million followers on TikTok? Which at the time that I last saw his fucking numbers was literally on par with NBC News's numbers. NBC News, a corporation that's been around for fucking decades, that have whole teams of investigative journalists and all that type of shit. And this one dude ain't demonstrated a lick of truth. Had just as many followers as them at the time of his untimely demise. How can somebody like that amass so many fucking followers and he never demonstrated any of the garbage that he talked about? Matter of fact, when he got he was sitting under an awning that said, "Prove me wrong." The irony. He was proven wrong in front of everybody in the most brutal way possible. Because these sci-fi fantasy loonies, like I said earlier, they always like to say shit that like they're in the world and not of it. They really think that they're above everybody. They really believe that they're seriously special, that they're better than everybody, that somehow they have this magical protection layer protecting them from real life until real life happens, right? It's like saying, I don't like to see people being attacked at Christian facilities, Christian churches, Christian schools, but at the same time, y'all should have knew that your shit was some cap-ass garbage. Y'all should have knew that at some point, some loony was going to engage in these kinds of behaviors eventually, right? Why do y'all even need like the face act? Why do these religions need the face act if what they believe is so true? If Christianity was so true and so real, why do they need so much extra protection? Why would Trump need to pardon a number of anti-abortion protesters prosecuted under the FACE Act if Christianity was true? Why would Christians need to engage in these types of behaviors to begin with? Don't they have the Lord? Don't they say they can do all things? I mean, literally all things through Christ. These are their words. They can do all things through Christ except anything useful. When it comes to real world scenarios, nothing. I mean, it don't matter what the situation is. You would think that these people that have this direct access to the supernatural, super intelligent AI fucking app, this Jesus GPT app that they claim they fuck with, you would think they would have all the answers. You would think that they would have the most efficient methods for everything. You would think that they would be the most efficient at running a government, so great, in fact, that they never, ever, ever, the thought of a shutdown wouldn't even occur because they're so hyper efficient. They would know how to create a system that never even remotely comes close to shutting down, ever. Never, ever. But what do we see? Failure. Persistent, consistent failure on their part at all times. In every way, in every single possible way, right? That's why I show y'all these stories of these rapists in their facilities, in their communities, the ones that are fucking leaders of their ideology, the ones that supposedly the Lord handpicked, right? That's why you see stories like the one I showed you earlier about the guy who did you know what? No, like I say, I always like to show y'all. That's why I like to show y'all shit like this. Church leadership knew about alleged sexual abuse by youth pastor. Why is that so common? Why is that so common? Why does that always happen? They always know that this shit happens. They knew that this shit happened. They knew that's the way it was going down, but they didn't want to say shit. Ain't that some shit? They never want to be honest and acknowledge these things that they know are happening. They know it happens, but they never talk about it. They never expose these loonies because they know that it makes them look bad because this shit doesn't stop. Like, look at this. Look at this. Another one of these fucking movies. Remember we talked about this like a couple weeks ago? Another fucker, another minor fucker. According to the New York Post, Arkansas man cites Bible and sick child rape excuse. Isn't that funny? That's the second story within the past 30 days of this exact type of shit. And I think this is a different guy. I think this is a different person where they're like, no, it says it in the Bible. And of course, as usual, they never cite the actual passage. Isn't that weird? They never cite the passage. You would think that journalists would have at least asked the guy, well, what's the chapter in the Bible? The fact of the matter is, why is this not talked about on a bigger scale? How could it even be remotely claimed that this guy is quoting a Bible verse or that he's citing a Bible verse if it wasn't in the Bible? If it wasn't in the Bible, wouldn't they just say that's incorrect, that's wrong? But no. All it says is an Arkansas man accused of raping multiple children over several years had a sick justification. The Bible said it was okay, according to police. Whoops, didn't realize I was muted. So let's try that again. For the third time in the last 7 years, a Louisiana man has been arrested for allegedly pretending to have special needs in order to trick female home health care workers into touching his private parts, Us Weekly confirmed. Fam. Really, fam? Really? It's you down bad like that? Bro, seriously. Look, man. Just go to fucking 74th Street. Just go grab you one, fam. If it's really that bad, if it's really that bad, just go ahead. Oh no. Oh no. No, this dude got mental issues, bro. Oh my god. Bruh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Look at this shit. God. After hiring the victims, police claim Diaz directed them to his residence in Lafayette, where he pretended to be severely disabled and incapable of caring for himself. The nannies were directed to change Diaz's diapers, treat him like a child, and clean his private areas, court records. Okay, bro. So, like I've been saying, we are in the midst of a mental health and substance abuse fucking crisis, bro. These loonies are out here loonying all over the place. And as you can see, Christianity has failed to solve this kind of crazy shit, which might explain why these fucking kinds of crazy things have been happening. Dude, they say that this dude been arrested multiple times for this shit. He describes it as alternative therapy. He would pose as a younger man with special needs, unable to care for himself. Yo, people are out here fucked up, bro. This is why we do what we do. Because it is abundantly clear that we are a nation of fucking retards. Yeah, I said it. America is a nation of retards, bro. People far and wide suffer from various diseases, various disorders to varying degrees. People suffer from various disorders to various degrees, varying degrees, and as a result, people are out here tweaked the fuck out. Tweak the fuck out. That's why people are addicted to drugs. It's why people are out here fucked up. And when we have this hyper capitalist system that fails miserably to address people's actual needs, we get situations like this. And the reason why we do what we do, obviously, the ultimate goal is to understand the nature of our reality, to master our reality. But in order to accomplish that, not only do we have to ensure our collective survival, but we need loonies like this to get the fucking help that they need. Because clearly something is wrong with their fucking brain. Clearly something is wrong with these people's brains that they keep engaging in this behavior. All of this antisocial behavior. All of this useless, unhelpful garbage that is literally harming our society, making it more difficult for us to create a well-functioning society where we can live harmoniously, where we can fucking coexist peacefully, right? And so this is one of the main reasons also why I am what's called a transhumanist, specifically an extropist. I'm all about improving our human condition, which involves updating and upgrading our physical and cognitive capabilities. When I say that we're all retarded, I mean that we're all retarded. We are all cognitively suboptimal. There's still so much about the human brain that we don't fully understand, but more importantly, we can recognize that we are not maximizing our potential. There are a great many things that we can still discover about ourselves, about humanity, about our cognition, about consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Fucking sentience and sapience, right? The ability to think, feel, react to our environment, and the ability to reflect, to learn, to understand, to gain wisdom, trade wisdom. We are woefully inefficient at this regard, and we can reach the level of mastering our reality when we recognize how suboptimal we are and actually work together to optimize our cognitive abilities, to optimize our cognition, to enhance our physical, mental capabilities so that we can be more logical, reasonable, efficient, where we can have hyper efficient access to high quality information, where we don't have to worry about whether or not these claims are true or not, whether these data points are true or not, because we have the ability to ensure that we have the evidence to justify and substantiate these claims, where we don't have to worry about all this propaganda, where we don't have to worry about all of these fucking corporations and churches that are working steadfastly to spread this information, to confuse us and keep us divided on a constant basis. We can't discover the truth of our reality if we're steady mired in fucking disinformation, misinformation, having these ridiculous arguments over nonsense, over fictitious claims, over nonsensical claims because this entity, that entity, this group, that group, this ideology, that ideology want to maintain their position in society, want to maintain their power, want to maintain their profitability, even if it's to the detriment of the rest of us. These are the threats to our collective survival. These are the threats to our collective well-being. The ones who have all the resources, the ones who've extracted so many resources from our communities that continue to spread this information throughout our society, propaganda, playing these fucking psyop games, doing all this fucking bullshit. They are benefiting greatly to our collective detriment. If we ever hope to survive and thrive as a society, this shit cannot continue. Some of these industries gonna have to fall. Some of these companies gonna have to fall. Some of these rich people gonna have to lose their fucking money making scheme. Some of these fucking influencers they gonna have to lose their following. For us to survive, these loonies, these psychopaths, these scam artists, these charlatans, they got to go. That's why it's so important that we have these conversations, because we can't reach our potential if we don't get real with reality. Okay, that's why I always talk about the Fermi paradox. The fact that despite the age of the universe being 13.8 billion years, despite the billions of galaxies, with each galaxy hosting billions of stars, with each star hosting 1.6 planets per star, who knows how many moons, many of which exist in their Goldilocks zone, where they are not too far away from the star to be too cold to host life, or too close to the star to be too hot to host life, smack dab in that perfect position where theoretically these planets, these moons should be capable of potentially hosting life. We don't see clear-cut, concrete evidence for the existence of intelligent alien life. And the question becomes why? Why don't we see intelligent alien life everywhere in the cosmos, where we can just look up with a regular telescope and we can see all kinds of spaceships flying by, megastructures all over the place, laser beams fly, all types of things that demonstrate the existence of intelligent alien life such as ourselves, right? Because the whole thing is we think from our perspective, well, if we were able to grow and continue to evolve, We would spread throughout the cosmos. We would fucking build all kinds of huge shit. We'd be doing everything possible to figure out what's going on out there, spreading throughout the Milky Way and perhaps even beyond, right? So, there's this scale called the Kardashev scale that hypothesizes what civilizations would look like if they actually did exactly that. If they actually decided to continue to evolve and reach new heights and spread throughout the cosmos. So, Nikolai Kardashev was a Soviet astronomer who was like, yo, okay, well, if aliens existed, here's how they would look. Here's the scale. The original scale has 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3. Kardashev 1, Kardashev 2, Kardashev 3. Basically, shortened to K1, K2, K3. Not to be confused with that other K2, if you know what I'm talking about. You need to knock that shit off. A K1 civilization would be one that can harness the energy of their planet. A K2 civilization can harness the energy of their solar system. A K3 civilization can harness the energy of their galaxy. We here on Earth are not even at a K1 level. A K1 level would be basically like if we actually discovered and implemented fusion energy commercially. That would be about like a K1 civilization. Of course, there's more to it than that, but like essentially, that's about what a K1 civilization would be. And we haven't even reached that point yet. We're considered like a 0.7, a K point 0.72 or some shit like that. We're not even a K1. And already we're 85 seconds to midnight. We're already on the verge of self-destruction. So that's why this is such a pivotal point in humanity's history right now. Because even though we're on our way to K1, we're also on our way to K fucking 0 point minus 35027 because we could potentially destroy ourselves or allow ourselves to be destroyed. So we have 2 paths we could go down. We could either go down the path of self-destruction or the path of self-actualization. We can go down the path of self-destruction or self-actualization. Which one? Why would we want to destroy ourselves? Why would we want to allow ourselves to be destroyed? For what? Why would we want that? Why would any sane person want that? So the only path is self-actualization, reaching our true potential. So in order to reach our true potential, we have to decide that that is what we want to do, that we want to reach the K1 civilization. That's what this is all about. But in order to reach that K1 civilization, we have to get past this point, which is what's called the Great Filter scenario, the Great Filter hypothesis, which is a potential answer to the Fermi paradox. The idea. Okay, so again, the Fermi paradox is why don't we see aliens, pretty much? All the factors that we discussed before, why don't we see intelligent alien life? The Great Filter hypothesis is the idea that there could be all types of intelligent alien civilizations, such as ourselves, out there somewhere, but that for whatever reason, they get fucked. They get destroyed. They destroy themselves. Whether it's because of some kind of asteroidal impact, supervolcanic eruption, a fucking bioweapon, some kind of a fucking plague that destroys everybody, a chemical bomb, mutually assured destruction, which is basically nuclear warfare, or the scenario that I'm afraid of, which I call the eschatological Great Filter scenario, which is essentially the idea that these sci-fi fantasy ideologies fucking kills us because they want to prove their fucking prophecy so bad that they will literally kill us all to do it because they're crazy. So This is what this is all about. I, at least, at the very least, want to disprove the great filter hypothesis. I want to ensure that at least we as humans can decide, you know what? Yeah, let's survive. Let's not just leave things to chance. Let's not keep going down this road where we keep getting closer and closer and closer to self destruction, where the doomsday clock is always the closest it's ever been, right? Last year was 90 seconds to midnight. Now it's 85 seconds to midnight. We don't want next year to be 80 seconds or 75 to 65, 25. How about no? How about we start reversing course and going the other way, where we're actually working together interdependently with synergy to ensure our collective survival so that we can become a K1 civilization and ultimately become a K Omega civilization, that Kardashev Omega civilization that I mentioned at the top of this fucking live. Where, because again, I said the original scale had 3 levels, but since then, Kardashev's successors have added multiple levels, and I think that ultimately Kardashev Omega levels like level 9. It's supposed to be like level 9 or something like that, where basically humanity reaches its ultimate peak, where we can't get past that. We are maximally intelligent, maximally fucking capable, and we have complete, total, and utter knowledge of everything. We basically 100% the game of reality, the game of life, or whatever the fuck you want to call the shit. Why the fuck would we not want to do that? Why the fuck would we want to just die and hope that maybe we respawn in another universe that we don't know exists? See, I'm fascinated by all these cosmological concepts like the multiverse, E8 lattice, many worlds, all that type of shit. But there's no guarantee that any of them are true at all. There's no guarantee that there's anything more to this existence than this universe, other than just the fact that, you know, there's all these different ideas in physics and quantum physics and whatnot that are very peculiar. But there's still so much to learn and discover. And we can't sit here and pretend that we already figured it out. That ancient fucking loonies somehow figured it out. I find it preposterous that in 2026 and henceforth, there are still so fucking many people purporting these ideas that clearly cannot be demonstrated in any way. I mean, at all. Not one time. All it takes is one theist, one time, to show us that theism is true, and that's the end. Like, they got it. They got it. People like me will reverse everything I said. I'll take back everything I said. I'll become a theist again. I used to be a theist once upon a time, right? I fucking fell out of it because I realized it didn't make any sense. The more I learned, the more educated I became, the less and less and less and less sense theology made, that Christian theology made, that theism as a whole made. Because all it takes is one theist to show us that there's some kind of supernatural super deity that exists. And then that's it. They've shown us. And then they can show us how we can then use the supernatural super entity to solve these various issues that I've been talking about. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why we have these issues, because so many of these people who subscribe to these ideas do not care about any of these ideas. They don't care about these data points. They don't care that we're 85 seconds to midnight. They don't care that the U.S. is 128 out of 163 countries on the Global Peace Index, where number 1 is the most peaceful. And the United States is supposedly the greatest country in the world, but we're not even in the top 100 of peaceful countries in the world. All these different facts and data points goes to show you that we are failing miserably. And one of the main reasons why we fail is because these entities, these institutions, these ideologues, they do everything possible to spread their disinformation and misinformation at super highly efficient levels. As I always say, it wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't so many of them. I mean, 200 million American Christians alone. And none of them seem to even know there were 85 seconds to midnight, let alone care. They don't seem to actually care. You mean to tell me that 200 million people can't figure out anything, really? I mean, they come together every single week. They have their weekly sci-fi fantasy fan club meetings. They pay their weekly membership fees. They have the resources. You can't tell me they don't. But they're not using it for any of these useful, amazing purposes. And I would love to know why. So this is why I implore you to hit that like and that follow, hit that subscribe, share everywhere. Because the fact of the matter is, humanity will not reach its true potential until we as human beings decide that this is what we want to do. This is what I describe as the true singularity. See, people think the singularity is fucking technological singularity. When AI becomes super intelligent, when AI becomes smarter than humans. Cat. That's what these loonies want you to think. The reality is AI is a tool like any other tool. AI can be used to help us. It can be used to hurt us. We should decide to use it to help us improve our cognition, to help us improve our physical and cognitive capabilities, to help us improve our collective quality of life, to help us better understand the nature of our reality, to enhance our capabilities, to enhance all of our abilities to solve all these problems, to reverse the course of our self-destruction towards self-actualization, self-enlightenment. Because bullshit is completely useless. Sci-fi fantasy ideologies are pointless. It's time for people to accept science reality, not sci-fi fantasy. If you're entertained by sci-fi fantasy, cool. That's fine. I like certain fucking fictional content as well. But you have to recognize that it's fiction. It's not real. It doesn't actually help you. You gain no true valuable knowledge from reading a horoscope, from reading a biblical passage, from learning about flat earth and all that goofy ass cap ass garbage. Because if any of that shit was true, it wouldn't be a thing for them to demonstrate it to us right now at 7:33 p.m. Central Standard Time on February the 3rd, 2026. And all these ridiculous ideologies are miserable failures, yet we have a nation filled with loonies who are so fucking stupid and misinformed and conditioned and fucking indoctrinated that they don't see the flaws of the bullshit. They don't see the flaws of the logic. They get sucked into this crap and they get stuck. And then they defend this crazy shit on some Stockholm syndrome type shit. This is harmful to our society, and this is detrimental to our ultimate purpose of mastering our reality. So that's why I need your help. We as people need to come together to work interdependently with synergy to create the type of future that we want. A future where our society prioritizes our collective well-being, prioritizes our survivability on our quest to discover the true nature of our reality, to truly understand our reality and our place in it. Because otherwise, what the fuck is the point? If we're not working to understand our reality, then what are we doing? All these loonies that say they want to serve the Lord, they can't demonstrate that there is a Lord to serve in the first place. So why don't we become God? Fuck all this sci-fi fantasy bullshit. Why don't we, in real life, become gods? Become better than gods? Become super amazing? Become super duper ultra awesome? Because it's not going to happen by magic. It's not going to happen by, please, Lord Jesus, please open and wishing, Lord Jesus, please, will you please help us, Lord Jesus. That has not ever worked. It doesn't work. It will never work. It does not work, period. You know it doesn't work because it never stops these rapists from raping kids in the church. It doesn't stop the pastor and the priest from raping the minors in the church. If prayer worked, All Christians got to do is show us that it works by stopping the rape in the church. And as you can see, story after 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 story of rape keeps coming out, keeps being released. So they need to knock it the fuck off with that bullshit forever. So to sum up, the purpose of humanity is to master our reality, to discover our origins, to understand ourselves and our place in this mysterious thing that we call reality, because otherwise there is no point. These loonies that want to push these ridiculous ideologies are full of shit. That's why I challenge them every single day. That's why I give them an opportunity to demonstrate to us their value. They got nothing. So it's time for these loonies to knock it the fuck off and actually contribute to real sustained efforts for understanding reality, for discovering new technologies and innovations, medicines, treatment methods for various diseases and sicknesses, where we can eradicate sicknesses from the gene pool, where we can extend our lives and live long, healthy, and happy lives free of psychological disorders. Hell, how about we enhance our cognition so not only are we super duper geniuses, but we can be super duper happy and healthy at all times? But what do I know? Maybe I'm just some loony. But anyway, for anybody who's still here, thank you for coming through. Thanks for watching your boy. Because ultimately, in order for us to solve these problems and reach our true potential, we have to unite. We have to work together interdependently with synergy towards these goals. We can't keep bickering and arguing over stupid shit. Well, can you prove it's not real? Yes, we have proved it because not a single theist can demonstrate any of their sci-fi fantasy nonsense, despite billions of these people around the world purporting it. Zero. A big fat zero out of all the billions of Christians, the billions of fucking Muslims, the billions of Hindus, and the billions of any whatever the fuck miscellaneous garbage that's out there. Zero. None. I mean, literally none. Not even nuns. Not even nuns can show us it. It's just this big fat none. None. Nothing. Zero. But you know what we do got? Us. Each other. They can't demonstrate that Jesus is real, but we are the realest of the real, because we all we got. We all we got. So why don't we act like it and stop pretending, wasting our fucking lives on useless ass garbage? All right? So look, this is another fantastically amazing episode of the No Cap Zone, a place where we have a strict dress code. Knock it the fuck off with that capping ass bullshit. The only kind of camp that we allow around these parts is your thinking cap. Otherwise, what the fuck is you talking about? Because around here, all we care about are the facts, the truth, the data, the information, the statistics, the evidence, things that can actually be demonstrated in real life, in real time, while we're alive, while we're sound of mind and body and sane. Because otherwise, I don't know what the hell these people are talking about. And to tell you the truth, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. That's why we got to talk about it. So look, stay smooth, y'all. Stop being bitch-ass simps and pick-me's for these psychos and these narcos and these loonies out here who mean you no goodwill at all, okay? Stop giving them your loyalty. Have some fucking self-respect and love yourself. It's better to be lonely than to let some crazy fucking loony put your life in danger, okay? And most importantly, let's bring some goddamn sense to this crazy-ass world once and for all, shall we? Holla back at your motherfucking boy, man. Off the9.com. Like, follow, subscribe, all that shit.